Today's episode of Entertainment Drive-Thru is brought to you by Audible.com. Audible.com has over 180,000 audiobooks and audio products. Get your free audiobook of your choice at audibletrial.com/edrivethru.
Welcome to Entertainment Drive-Thru. Today's special is Gourrier, actress.
Quiet on the set.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to
Hello, welcome to Entertainment Drive-Thru. I'm Anna, with me is my co-host Dan, and today we have an amazing guest for you. She's an actress that you may know from TV shows like True Detective and American Horror Story, but most of all you may know her from the Quentin Tarantino movies, Django and Unchained, and now coming up, the Hateful Eight. Let's welcome the one, the only, Dana Gourrier!
Yeah! Welcome to the show!
That is an awesome introduction. Just so you know.
I love how it was just laughter. There was like you didn't say anything. It was just laughter. That was perfect.
It's a perfect start of it. Cheer you up.
Yeah, it made me feel like a rock star. I was like, whoa, who are they talking about? Yeah, who's this chick? Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
well, how are you?
I'm doing really good. I have no complaints.
Awesome.
Just moved to Los Angeles about 4 months ago.
Oh, really?
And I'm not gonna lie to you. It's a little tricky. It's tough here, but it's so beautiful. And you know, I've just been trying to find my way because you know I'm a Southern girl. So,
so where are you from?
A certain culture. I'm born and raised from New Orleans.
Oh, right. Wow, that's very different from LA.
It is very different from LA, but I'm loving it. I'm loving sort of discovering this new life I have here. It's kind of cool to sort of have the opportunity and the space and the time to reinvent yourself, if you will. So
right.
I think that's what I'm doing. I'm not sure. I'm figuring it out. We'll see.
Right. Well, and I have to ask. So correct me if I'm wrong, but according to IMDb, you made your television debut in 2011, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then following that, you were in Django Unchained, which was the following year. And since then, you've been in some pretty badass projects. My question is, what is in the water that you're drinking?
You just made my day. I mean, can we can we all be friends and hang out? Can we have a drink?
Yes.
You're real good for my ego now.
Oh.
So
we'll just follow you around. We'll just be your ego boosters. Can we do that, Dan? Like instead of a life coach, we'll be like ego boosters and just follow people around and cheer them on.
But actually, I do.
Wait,
Go ahead.
How hilarious would it be if we were like walking up somewhere, we're approaching a red carpet or some type of event, and there's one of you in one ear and one of you in the other. It's like, you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're about to rock this. You are so dynamic. Go!
I was really hoping that was going to go the direction of you're walking up like the red carpet, and you just hear behind you, joining us is the one, the only.
But what would we then be like all dressed in black, sort of trying to blend in, or like red, or like trying to blend in with the carpet, and then be like invisible, just trying to whisper
either that, or it would be like 90s style. You just have like a big like boombox above you.
And it's like yelling. It's like, walking up right now.
Yes!
The unbelievable. Like screaming, like you have your own private personal introduction.
And you have it'll be like the kind of thing where like we'll say the wrong thing. We'll be like, and now she's turning right. And now she's turning left.
She's turning left.
Am I the only one who's surprised nobody's done this already? Like, wouldn't this be something like Tina Fey or Amy Poehler?
I'm surprised
would do.
I'm surprised no one's gone hologram style. Like no one's just said, you know what? Screw the event. I'm sending a hologram instead.
And then they're just chilling with their In and Out, just at home eating, just like watching it.
I'm loving where this is going. It's like we're taking it there, and I appreciate and applaud your commitment. That's all I'm saying.
Like you're hanging out at In-N-Out, and someone sees you. Like, wait a minute, aren't you supposed to be at the awards show? What's going on?
Exactly, because I would do that. Make a pit stop on the way to an event.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. I don't know what's in the water, darling, other than to say I've been extremely blessed. And, everything in this life, my dad taught me years and years ago, everything in this life is about relationships. Mm-hmm. And, people respect loyalty. They respect you showing up, doing your job. Mm-hmm. They respect you showing up on time. And I guess that sort of got around about me, as it relates to New Orleans and the local work there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, specifically, I got to give props to a woman by the name of Megan Lewis. She's a casting director in New Orleans, and she's also an Emmy winner for her work on True Detective, her casting in True Detective, which I was a part of. Yeah, and Megan's got her go-to people, and there are some really amazingly talented people in New Orleans. I'm not suggesting that I'm one of them. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything like that. I'm saying the talent pool there is fierce. It's like amazing. And so upon graduation, I was like, well, let me go see what's going on at home before I get into this LA thing. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, it was 2011, I think, but it might have been, I guess it was 2011. The first job I ever had was for the job that Taft-Hartley'd me into the union, which made me a professional actor, if you will.
Nice.
It was in 2010. It was a film by the name of From the Rough, starring Taraji P. Henson.
Right. Yeah.
And I really wanted to meet Taraji. I never got a chance to. But I have a feeling our paths will cross someday. But I played a cafeteria worker. Mm-hmm. And I booked from tape, and it was just such a huge thing for me. It was like the beginning of it all.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the director, when I got on set, he said to me, his name is Pierre Bagley, and he said to me, I want you to always remember I was the first one.
Aww.
I was the one who gave you your first job.
Nice.
And I remember that man telling me that, and I was like, yes, sir, I will. I will always remember you were the first one.
Aww.
And he's like, 'cause you're going far. You're going far. But I was the first.
Amazing.
I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
So we'll add that to the list. Pierre said that you would be amazing. You are phenomenal.
Well, and I have
right. We really should go get drinks sometime.
Yes.
Well, and I have to ask because now you have worked on a bunch of really great projects. That actually wasn't to continue what we were doing before. That just actually is fact. And I wanted to ask though, when is it? Because we usually ask people, how they got started in what they do. But I wanted to skip right to it and ask, when is that moment that you realized that being in the entertainment industry in general is what you were meant to do? It wasn't going to be dedicating your life to creating a super spider, which you call the Hateful Eight. You wanted to be in the entertainment industry, which that would still be pretty entertaining, but still.
Right. That moment where I have to tell you, it's Django, hands
was
down.
it?
I was working on. Yeah, there were a lot of really reputable projects that I did before Django, namely David Simon's Treme, and an episode or two on Memphis Beat, or I had like little spurts of some really great, being a part of some really great projects, but it was nothing. There was nothing like I had ever experienced when I got onto set on a Quentin Tarantino set.
Right.
It's just the most awe-inspiring, pretty cool ass experience that that an actor specifically can have. Because he's an actor's director. He's an actor's director, in the sense that he really gets in there with you, and he loves what he does. He loves, we even have this thing on set where Q'll say, all right, we're gonna do one more time. Why? And then we all as a company yell out at the top of our lungs, because we love making movies. And it's just
awesome.
one of those. you know, and like that was something that was put. So I think it was Jamie Foxx, Christoph Waltz, and Leo DiCaprio that together put in for our wrap gifts, which were these badass like hoodies that had Django on the back, and on the forearm of the right sleeve it says "quote unquote" because we love making movies.
Yes!
And it's stuff like that like, you know, the general public doesn't necessarily know about, but it's like experiences like that are just like priceless, you know. It's just, that was the moment I realized, I've stepped into a different kind of light. I've stepped onto a different kind of stage. This is another level from anything I have ever experienced in my life, and I've built to get here. I've worked my entire life to get here. Like since I was 12, I've been working to get to this place.
Nice.
And I'll never forget, like the last day we shot, I just wept. And I told this to Quentin recently on like 2 days before I was wrapped on Hateful Eight. I was like, look, honey, I was going to wait to tell you this story, you know, until they wrapped me. But I just can't. I don't want to lose a moment. I want to tell you right now. And I told him the last day we shot, the last day I had my responsibilities on Django, the day I was wrapped, picture wrapped, I just wept. Like I cried so hard, like to the point where I made the people in the transport van that were in the van with me uncomfortable. Like I was just bawling. I was like trying to keep it together and be quiet about it. But I was just so upset. And the reason was for several things. It was my last day shooting. Also, we had worked on this. I had worked on a song for him, and he wanted to shoot it. And we did.
Right, yeah.
And
I heard about that.
Which I totally understand. That's, you know, it's his vision. I get that. I respect it so much. I did it for him. So it was just the fact that we did it, and it's my last day. And all my thoughts were, what is ever in my life going to top this? What is ever going to even come close to being just amazing? And then I looked at him and I said, and then baby called me back. Look at where we are. And I got super full and emotional. I just love that dude. I love that man so much. He's so generous beyond, like, he's a good egg, you know, like he's, anyway, that's my little story.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break to listen to a clip from Another Dream by Cherie Curry, but we will be right back.
If a dream dies, you dream another dream, and you gotta chase what's out of reach. If a dream dies, you dream another dream, until you find what sets you free.
The fact that you said that you guys, you know, shout out because we love making movies. It goes so perfect into this. I was actually watching an interview that you did where you were talking about the fact that for Django, you know, Quentin Tarantino is the kind of person that just tells you to just go for it, you know, give it everything you've got, which, I mean, if you think about it, that basically describes his style in a nutshell, because he doesn't hold back at all. And I was
no, he doesn't.
Yeah,
he goes for it.
And I was wondering, did you find that, you know, as opposed to working with other directors, that really helped you out for the projects you've done with him?
And when I say generous, it's not just in the sense of, like, you know, his kindness, or, you know, it's also in him allowing a certain space for you to do your thing, you know, and like kind of sort of figure out together what that thing is and how it cohesively goes with the tapestry, if you will. Working with him, you know, I've been able to work with some extraordinary directors, namely Lee Daniels, Walter Hill, the director of the first Aliens. I did Bullet to the Head with him.
Okay,
yeah. You know, like some really phenomenal directors. Jeff Nichols, who's got Midnight Special coming out with Michael Shannon, and Joel Edgerton, who's just an extraordinary writer. And he's like, you have to feel things out, obviously, on a set.
Right.
There are directors that are like extremely, extremely specific. And there are directors that are just like, do your thing. I don't really want to worry about you. I've found that more in television, less in film. You know what I mean? In television, it's like here, go into autopilot. And if you have not autopilot, but if you have any questions, let me know. But I trust you. It's like, go do your thing. But somebody like Jeff Nichols, he was so just, he was so open and like chill, which made me as an actor super calm. Like I felt no anxiety. I felt no stress or questioning of my ability or whether or not we were going to get the shot. I knew it because he knew it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it was a different kind of experience. Like with Quentin, it's like there is a level of intensity that you just live with, and it's constant, and it's not anything that it's not in a negative thing or an intentional thing. It's just you have put that much pressure on yourself because you want to do so well for this guy.
Right.
You want to execute exactly what he's asking you. And with Lee, I felt the same thing. It's a similar nature. Like, first of all, with my experiences with Lee Daniels, I'm in the room with Forrest Whitaker, Oprah Winfrey, Cuba Gooding Jr. Like the list goes on. It's just it was when I walked onto set. It was even for the rehearsal. It was like so scary. And then I was like, oh, wait, I need to put all this down. I've earned my place. I'm here for a reason. Let me do my job. And Lee sort of lent that energy to you. He lends the sort of like, do it, do it. Like, go at it. Like, we're going to make this real and we're going to make it raw and it's going to happen. So go for it.
See, and I feel like that's how it should be with everything. I mean, not just film. Yeah. I just think in everything in general, it's like, no matter what the outcome is, just give it everything you've got because you love doing it. Like, and again, the fact that that you guys shout out because we love making movies. I mean, that's just it's really the best quote ever because it's like why did we get into this in the first place? Because we wanted to do it.
Yeah, there's you're absolutely right, hon. And I feel like folks that aren't in it for those reasons, that are in it for other reasons, and look, this is not a judgment. I'm not judging anyone.
Right,
I just feel like it's not. I feel like there's a difference between being an actor or an actress versus being an artist. And I consider myself an artist, and I consider what I do an artistry. And I feel like I'm a part of something, and there's a bigger something at hand, working towards something else. I have big dreams. I have huge, 10-year goals of direction, writing, production, like telling my story. I haven't even gotten to the sort of writing aspect of things yet. I feel like I'm just getting my feet wet,
Nice.
Well, I think it was last night. It was either at the Emmys and someone said this in one of their acceptance speeches, or I actually read this yesterday, but it was, I don't want to mess with the quote, but it was something along the lines of actors don't strive to be the best actor. True actors strive for fearlessness. And that's what it's about. You have to go and you have to be fearless. And it's like shutting all those voices down and quieting all those thoughts and doing your job. That's what it's about. I mean, I'm no guru. I don't know all of the ins and outs of it, but I know what I feel and I know what I've experienced. I for that.
Well, and I have to ask, speaking of being fearless, because, I hate to just talk about the Tarantino movies because we really wanted to talk about a lot, but, this is just leading into this is, because Tarantino is Tarantino, were there ever any moments working with him that you felt uncomfortable, or were there any things that were just challenging in general working with him?
Uncomfortable is not the word. I think more of the word is sort of anxious in the sense that you really want to get it right and you really want to be on point. Because look, we went through the rehearsal process. First of all, we did a stage reading of the Hateful at the Ace last April. Okay, which is how my journey with all of this began. He called me up and brought me out, and I was just so honored by that. I wasn't thinking, what more would happen, even though he told me he wrote the part. It's like, that's so unbelievable to think, like, one of the greatest directors of my generation is a little apart for me in his latest film. It's like
Right.
sort of,
Yeah.
it's like surreal for your brain to like.
Well, you're in his crew
You know,
now. I mean, that's what he does, right? He
Right.
has people in his movies, and they come back.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Like, what is it? What was I watching yesterday? Narcos. And at the beginning, the very first episode of Narcos, there's this sort of scripted writing on the screen, and they talk about magic realism, where you're in a reality that, and these extreme things that are happening almost makes it so your brain doesn't want to adopt it for reality. And it's like, that's how I feel a lot of times with him. And when I'm on set, it's just like, magic realism, because it's like, is this happening? What? It's like, wait a minute, hold on, slow down. What?
Right.
It's like, I need to write this in my journal right now. Wait a minute, I wonder, Anyway, you know what I mean.
But that's a really great point, though, and I do like that you point out being anxious as opposed to being uncomfortable, because I mean that's true in anything too. You know, I mean it's like I feel like that's a constant struggle for entertainers in general, is being anxious to make sure that they're doing everything correctly, as opposed to am I doing this to offend people? It's more like, am I doing this the right way that the director wants?
Well, I'll tell you, one thing I can always trust was that I would be told if it wasn't right. I would always be led in the right direction of what it was that they wanted. And it wasn't just with Quentin, like that's just across the board. Like, 9 times out of 10, especially in television, my experience is if they're not saying anything to you, good job. Moving on. They got it. Awesome, go to lunch. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like, okay, cool, and also like not having to go look for that validation as an actor too. Cause like no one wants to babysit people. They want you to be confident, ready, and they want you to show up to do your job.
Yeah.
At least that's been my experience. But I think there's always going to be a healthy level of nerves, and maybe not anxiety so much, but like, that healthy level of like, this matters to me and I want to get it right.
Exactly.
It's not a lack of confidence. That's not what I'm saying. It's not, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to faint because I'm so scared. It's not fear-based. It's more of like, I need to do a good job and I'm going to do a good job.
I got you.
We're going to sort it out. One way or another, it's going to get sorted out.
Yeah.
Right. Well, speaking of a lack of confidence and anxiety, we actually have a new challenge for you today. That was possibly the most mean way I could have started that.
I was like, gee, way to make her nervous, Dan.
I was like, this sounds awful.
Right.
Let's do it. Bring it on. What is going on?
All right,
That's what I call a challenge.
Because we are up to our segment, the question of the month. Oh, the question of the day. Today's episode of Entertainment Drive-Thru is brought to you by Audible.com. Audible.com is offering listeners a free audiobook of your choice and a free 30-day trial membership. Just go to audibletrial.com/edrivethru and choose from over 180,000 audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It's just that easy. Go to audibletrial.com/edrivethru. That's audibletrial.com/edrivethru and get started today. I screwed that up too many times this month. All right, but anyway, so it's becoming more of a challenge for me, just to say it. But anyway, so this month, for this month and last month, and I guess at this point we should just say until we stop doing this, we are actually repeating questions that we've previously asked to get some new answers. So each person gets their own question, and
that's a very long way of saying it. Here's some awesome questions. For you.
Yes. Anyway, so your question, so yours is more. Your challenge is more of a fill in the blank. So it is.
Okay.
I would do anything for love, but I won't blank.
I would do anything for love, but okay. Sorry.
I was hoping you were going to sing the answer.
Well, I was going to commit to it, and then I was like, but I don't I don't know yet. Hold on.
But no, I know exactly how you feel because you just hear it and then you just sing automatically and like, oh wait, I haven't.
I got it.
You got it?
I think I got it, but I'm not going to sing it. But I got it. I would do anything for love, but I will not sacrifice my personal integrity nor my self-respect.
Oh,
I can't do that.
That is a good answer.
That is the best answer ever because that's so
But I will
deep.
not do that again. That will not happen again.
I have to say, I think that is the second time we've gotten that answer for this, but for a good reason, because it is an awesome answer. I mean, it's like, because it's just, I mean, if you think about it, that's the ultimate answer to this question. I mean, instead of going in a funny way, but you know, I just think it's such a.
I missed.
No. I just think it's such a good point, though. I think it's better though because it's true. It's like, you know, that should be the you know, the saying of life. Give it everything you've got, but don't sacrifice yourself. Like, don't sacrifice your wills.
You know what?
Don't lose yourself. Because honestly, guys, like I would do just about anything. Like I'm all about the laundry, and I'm super southern. So I'm like super all about being domesticated. Like I will cook, I will clean, I will, you know, we'll work it out some way. We'll divvy out, you know, whatever, make the house run. But I'm like down for, you know what I mean? Like I feel like relationships are super complicated. So the things that are no brainers, like figure them out, get them out of the way. Mm-hmm. You know, but it's the psychological, it's the emotional, it's the spiritual, it's the mental, it's the, you know, those areas that get real treacherous if you let yourself get caught up in a situation where it's like, wait, I'm losing every part of who I am.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Wait a minute. And and the only reason why I can speak to this is from, you know, personal experience and in that, like, I did do that once upon a time, and I didn't really like myself very much because the thing is, I think I'm a cool chick, but like, then I became this, like, not other person, but like, I felt bad about everything. Like, oh, well, maybe I should change this, and oh, well, maybe I should not speak so loud, and oh, maybe, and I was like, man, forget that. And I know y'all know what I really want to say.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, this is crazy. I got to do me, you know. And whoever is supposed to compliment you will encourage you, like, and lift you, not like put you down or make you compromise who you are.
Well, and I have to ask, because in the same interview that I referenced earlier, I heard that you had a bit of a crush on Leonardo DiCaprio. So I'm asking, would you still have that same answer if he was in the picture?
Yes, it's hard to say, but I would.
See, that's where it takes the test.
That's the real challenge.
The real challenge.
There we go.
No, it's true. Like, you put somebody, you know, like Leo, or like, you know, I even have a little baby crush on oh my God, I'm blanking on his name.
I have such a big crush on
500 Days of Summer.
Oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. No?
Gordon, yeah. He's so, oh my gosh. I'm sorry I blanked on his name. I don't normally do stuff like that. You know, and just different artists in general, like, sometimes it's not about a look, it's about like an energy, and you can just feel from that person, like, ooh, you know? Like, I need to pump the brakes. Don't go there, you know? But I still can't compromise my personal integrity or my self-respect. I don't care who you are. I'm sorry. I can't do it again.
I love that you point that out, because I feel so many people give up their all, especially in relationship. And and I feel at the same point, artists have the same problem with their work, so they tend to give their all and sort of forget, as you say, about their integrity. And that's why in so many of our interviews, every time we've asked for best advice, they've said the same thing: be true to yourself and who you are. And this is why they say these things, exactly because of that, because they've lost themselves, not lost themselves, but when, you know, they've learned that they have to go with what feels right to them, and what, you know, to be true to yourself and to be yourself. And if, as you say, and especially in relationship, and especially in just in your career, I mean, who do you want to be? And it's about you, not about the other person.
Well, and I do have to make the comment though that I actually did develop a little bit of a man crush for Leonardo DiCaprio after hearing that in Django Unchained, when you guys did that like dinner table scene and he actually like sliced open his hand and kept going through it, and it like completely made that scene.
I had worked earlier that day and got wrapped by that evening.
Oh no!
So I wasn't on set for the day of, but I was on set the next day, and his hand was all wrapped up and bandaged. And I was like, "Honey, what did you do?" And I was like, "Are you all right?" He was like, "Oh, darling, I'm fine." And look, Leonardo DiCaprio. If I saw him on the street, I probably have to make him remember who I was. But for that little bit of time we worked together, I don't know, I guess it's maybe a month. I was on the project as a whole for 3 months, so maybe it was basically on and off for 3 months. But that time we spent together was like, it was just priceless. I mean, we would be silly together. We would crack jokes. We would he would encourage me. He would say things like, "I heard you yesterday. You sounded really good. You're doing really great." I'm like, seriously? Leonardo DiCaprio, my dreamboat, all-time actor crush guy. Really? What's Eating Gilbert Grape? Really, Titanic? Okay,
yes!
Thank you so much. So I really had a blast with him. We had a really great time. His crew were so cool. His crew was real chill. It was like a group of guys that was not a group, a couple guys that were just super dope, very chill.
Yeah.
We all had a really good time. It was really great.
Well,
and Sam too. Sam's another one that's just, Sam Jackson. I just don't even know where to start stop with that man.
Yeah.
I just love him to pieces. He has been so encouraging throughout my career, and just really been somewhat of a mentor to me, and really was on the set of Django.
Nice.
Aww.
I actually did want to switch gears here, though. I guess getting back to the interview, now that we've had our fun, but I wanted to ask, about your singing, though, because you are a singer as well. You mentioned earlier about a song that you had written, that you were hoping for the movie. What do you do in terms of music? Because it seems like, your acting is really what's in the spotlight.
It is. My music is always, sort of an ever-evolving thing. I love singing. I love anything as it relates to music making. In fact, as a matter of fact, I was in my car the other day, and I had my old, you have your old iPhone, you got a new one, but your old one is still in your car your music. And one of my songs popped on, and it was just oh, wait, I did do that. Oh, my goodness. Oh, man, this is pretty good. Okay.
I love when that happens.
One of those, right, don't you absolutely love when that happens? But no, I am actually, working with some folks, and we have some irons in the fire and some ideas going, some concepts about some songwriting things going on. Yeah.
And you do a hell of an Adele cover.
Yeah, it was amazing. I was like, "Damn, girl!"
The first thing we do when we're getting ready for an interview is we look up IMDb. Second thing is we go to YouTube, and that's the first video when you search your name. So I was like, obviously you look at the first video first. And I was sitting there and I was like, guess I'll watch the interview later. And I sat back and I listened to the entire thing.
Oh, that's so sweet. I hope it wasn't too corny.
I was just so blown away, because just in general, when people pull either an Adele or Celine Dion or Mariah Carey, I'm like, uh-oh. You never know what's going to come after that.
Right, don't, girl.
Honey, I hope you're good. Yeah, I hope you're good, because otherwise it's going to end really badly.
No, I know way better than to do an impersonation or an impression of Mariah or Whitney or
yes, exactly.
Celine Dion. I'm gonna say right in my little lane, and that's what I'm gonna say.
I'm waiting.
Oh no, I saw what's the name? Ariana
Grande, man.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I saw her impersonation of Britney, Celine, and Christina Aguilera. She killed it. Like, killed it. It was.
You're talking about on Jimmy Fallon.
It was awesome.
So funny.
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that Wheel of Impressions thing is awesome.
It's so awesome. I totally have a crush on Jimmy Fallon, too.
I don't blame you. How
so
can you
many
not?
men.
He's adorable.
I mean, he's just the best. I had a crush on Channing, too. Like, I just
On
can't
who?
even talk about it.
Channing Tatum.
Oh,
Channing.
Well,
Yeah, Channing.
duh, I
But
think
then
most girls do when he moves,
I
man.
met Jenna and found out I had more of a crush on her. And listen, but she's so sweet. She's so like cute and like kind and just like, oh, I just love you.
Did any girl have a crush on Channing Tatum until that Magic Mike movie came out? Like, it seems like that movie came out and every single girl had the biggest crush on him.
No, Step Up was pretty awesome too.
No,
okay.
because I think it was Step Up.
Yeah, I thought it was Step Up when he like really blew up and like, come on, him and Jenna were amazing.
I mean, they were phenomenal. Like, phenomenal. You know?
That's what I had. Like, I'm sorry, like, Step Up was more of a thing for me than Magic Mike, I have to say, just from my personal opinion. But it's because they jam together. They go good together.
I mean, you couldn't take that chemistry, you know?
Yes, exactly.
But speaking of good advice, so no, I did want to ask you though, because we talked about. This has basically been a great interview for advice, but I wanted to ask, so far with your career as a whole, what has been some of the best advice that someone's given to you that you would recommend to someone just getting started?
Hands down, something Sam told me when we were outside of our trailers. In between shots and whatnot, we didn't need us at that point, so we were just like really lounging for a little bit. Not lounging, but like we were kind of waiting. It's a hurry up and wait game. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, we struck up a conversation, and I had said to him, "I don't know, I want this to stop. I'm over nervous, like it's so exciting." And he was just like. I was like, I'm scared that, what am I going to do next? And he was like, baby girl, my hustle is the same as yours. The only thing that's different is my mortgage, Mm-hmm. And the hustle is the same, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to always have that hunger. Mm-hmm. You should never sit back and feel complacent or like, oh, I've arrived or, oh, I got it or, oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And then also, no, it was fantastic advice. And also, Craig Robinson, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Craig Robinson was in New Orleans shooting, I don't remember what it was, y'all. He was shooting something. Mm-hmm. And I happened to run into him at the Windsor Court in New Orleans, downtown. Okay. He was staying there, and then production, had us park our cars there before they brought us all the way out to, Edgar, Louisiana, which is where we were shooting, out in the sticks.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I see him there. I'm finished with my day, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's Chris Thompson. Oh, I should talk to him, but I don't know. Should I talk to him? And so I did. I saw him, and he saw me, and I was like, hi, how are you? I'm such a great. I think you're so great, and I think your work is. I'm being a lot more. I was a lot more eloquent at the time than I'm being right now. Anyway, I say to Craig, he looks at me, and I've got this big old like script in my arms because like when I work, I like one of my first things I do is I dissect the script like you would not believe, like it's insane.
Right? Yeah.
I get sticky tabs and highlighter pens and pencils, and I just want to know about every character and everybody and what arc does this mean and how does this, I want to know everything.
Right. And
so he saw my binder and he was like, can I take a look at this? I was like, sure. So he's looking at it and he was just like, wow, well, that's amazing. Congratulations. And I was like, thank you. I'm just a little nervous. I hope I can hang with these folks. And he said to me, he looked at me and he was quiet and he said, baby girl, you're not in the parking lot. You're not even in the stands. You are on the field and the ball is coming your way. What are you going to do? And then dropped the mic and walked away from me. And I was just standing there with my jaw dropped. I'm sure Craig Robinson will probably not ever remember this. But I will never forget this dude telling me Like you are not in the parking lot. You're not even in the stand. You are on that field and the ball is coming your way. What are you going to do? And it was just like that sort of like squared off shoulder moment, like that check, you know what I mean, that you needed to say like, oh yeah, I'm going to knock that ball out the park. That's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like it was like, wake up, like, come on, not wake up, but like don't be afraid. Do your job. Do what you're going to do, you know?
That's like a locker room talk. Like you see in sports movies when there's like this one epic speech that somebody says to get everybody going.
Absolutely. I was ready to go put cleats on at that point. I was like, yes. Get me on the field.
I forget who said this, but something like along those lines that I wish I remember who said this. Someone said at one point that like at any point tomorrow you could lose your job being an actor. Yeah. So make today the best day on the set. Like I feel like that's the these kinds of advice, you know, bits of advice. It's like, you know, like you're on the stage, like you're on the court, like you are the star. What are you going to do with that moment? Like you just got to go for it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what's interesting though is like you say, it's that expression of you could get fired at any moment, but it's so funny because I always feel like, okay, this is the day I'm going to get fired today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you work with a different sense of urgency. I feel like the moment you sit back and you're like autopilot or this is chill, it's whatever. I feel like, no, you need to like, you know, you need to change it up or something, you know?
Right.
I like that feeling of like, I'm doing something and what I'm doing matters. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, unfortunately, we are down to that point. We are at the end of our... I know. But before we go, where are places that our listeners can find out more information about you and this not-so-secret project that we've been talking about the entire time?
Well, it's the same across the board for all social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I think there's even like a fan page, and it's literally just my name, Dana Gourrier, Gourrier, Danagourrier. That's all my handles.
Somebody beat us to it, Dan. The fan club. We just have to be the voices then.
Well, I have to tell you guys, y'all have been fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't even feel like it was an interview. I feel like I was like amongst friends and we were hanging out.
Well, that's what we try to do. Like I've always had this plan in the back of my mind, and if the listeners are listening in, you know, really wanting to make us have our dream, I would still love to do this. But I've always had the idea of actually eventually like putting this show on a stage and having it set up kind of like the living room in a sitcom. And literally having us on the couch, like just like having like just hanging out. That's the vibe I always wanted for the show, because it's like, I mean, there's so many shows where it just seems like you're sitting back with a clipboard going, all right, question number 1, you know, and it just seems like there's too many of those. I feel like there needs to be the discussion. There needs to be the hangout feel. It's so much more pleasant to listen to. And honestly, from my side of it, it's so much more pleasant as an interviewer. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And look, let me tell you, when you guys do that, you call me up and I will.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I've loved so far the guests that we've had on the show. Whenever they come up with as much enthusiasm as you, it's so easy. It's not an interview anymore. It's just friends hanging out, having a blast, getting to know each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Dana, for being on the show. It's really been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys so very much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for more information on Dana, any of the projects we talked about in this interview, and the podcast, go to entertainmentdrivethru.com and subscribe on iTunes. Like and follow us on our Facebook at facebook.com/entertainmentdrivethru and our Twitter and Instagram at edrivethru.
My name is Dana Gourrier, and you've been listening to Entertainment Drive-Thru.